Well, today I am here with Jason Hardaway, the owner of CiiTA, and I would love for you just to share a little bit, Jason, about what the heck CiiTA is and what you do for people.
So we are subject matter experts in a very obscure aspect of pharmaceutical pricing. And so we help manufacturers understand their participation in this aspect of pharmaceutical pricing and make sure that it's done correctly and legally, because it's all pharmaceutical pricing is heavily regulated.
Yeah.
And this gives them the opportunity, we give them the opportunity to ensure compliance with the law, which has pretty stringent penalties if they're non-compliant.
Well, I'm curious kind of what made you guys think about doing a rebrand in the first place?
We knew our brand it wasn't as professional as we had wanted to be, because I did our brand with my mom and the first time. And as I said, I'm not a designer. So yeah, it was like, okay, yeah, we need to do something a little bit different. And so and the design you guys came up with us, we all collectively came up with is fantastic.
I'm so glad. Well, and we had such a good time because before we got into the design, we got to really start by kind of reviewing some strategy documents that you guys had done with another company, but then really coming in and looking at like, okay, how do we make that strategy apply to your brand overall as a company? How do we take that strategy and reinterpret that in a way that the visuals make sense and it's telling a story for you before you step on stage or as they're Googling who you are, right? Like, and how to make all those pieces connect. So I'm curious, since the rebrand has happened, what's kind of the biggest change for you that's come out of that?
Well, that's a good question. It came at the right time because we're, obviously, as you know, we're in discussion to potentially get acquired soon. And so that came at exactly the right time, because it probably wouldn't have happened if we had looked like, gosh darn, we're in mom and pa's barn.
Yeah, small potatoes.
Yeah, exactly. So that certainly helped. Yeah, so it's like the timing was fortuitous for sure.
I love that. Well, that it helped you kind of be able to step up and, lift your head a little higher and really have that pride about CiiTA and about what you guys do. And so I'm sure that that's probably trickled over even just kind of in a way.
Pride in what we did, but now it's like, yeah, it's more reflected in our design.
Yes.
Yeah.
It shows up in all areas.
I mean, it still has a lot of colors.
It does. It's totally you. Well, and I think what I love about it is that for your industry, it is something that can seem a little uptight and stiff and people are afraid of the information, like, oh gosh, this is all so much legal, what am I going to get into? And so a very direct intention that we had with your brand was to really make it very approachable. Like, let's do the exact opposite.
Our chief morale officer. Yes,
exactly. Your chief morale officer with your dog. Yeah. But really kind of looking at like, okay, what is everybody else in the industry doing? We don't want to do that. We need to stand out, and we need to really be able to say like, this is who we are, and we are CiiTA, and we will be your guide.
And plus, and the big part of that too, that's really important is that, so I am known, and it's a very small industry, and I'm a rather larger than life person, as you know, having known me, to put it mildly. And so everybody knew who I was. Everybody knows who I am. And so the brand had to be reflective of that. But at the same time, it was important to say it's not just Jason and company, but it had to nonetheless reflect the fact that I am at the helm of the company, because my reputation precedes me, and I'm many things, but I'm not stupid. And my reputation is being, he's loud, boisterous, and also extremely direct.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think that is reflected in the design we did. It's loud, boisterous, and also extremely direct.
Yes, and it's great because really when we're thinking about building a brand, what our challenge is to help our clients think about is, how do you look at that from like the top down? The way that you guys get leads, that you're interacting with your clients, they're hearing you speak at events, at associations, right now on webinars, but their first introduction to you is really on stage, and you are this great larger than life character. And so the worst thing that I hate to hear when we work with thought leaders is that they're up there and they're sharing about their new latest greatest thing, and people go to Google them and it's a complete contrast. Like it doesn't match. It doesn't make sense. And so I think that was really the challenge that we had with you, because you are a thought leader. You're an absolute expert in the work that you do. And so how do we make the brand something that is reflective of your personality, but also more importantly, the personality of the company overall. And so what that really boils down to when we think about all your other team members and the services that you guys provide is that guiding part of it. And so we have this idea like Jason's the Sherpa, Jason and the team, right? CiiTA Inc. They are the Sherpa.
We're able to, we leverage that and it comes across very well. And it's also very reflective of our Pacific Northwest roots.
Yes. Which
everyone
is
knows
extra fun.
if you live in the Pacific Northwest, you do nothing but mountain climb and ski all the time. Duh.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and the first statement that's on your site now that we put together is navigating 340B.
Right.
Let CiiTA guide you. And so right away, they know that that is exactly who you are and what you're there to help them do. So I think that's so much fun. And I'm curious, in terms of being able to have conversations about being acquired, you know, were there things about having this bigger brand that made that conversation easier for you?
Like if we had had a less effective brand, a less professional brand, I guess, I don't know, a more thoughtful, nuanced brand, it probably would have inhibited it because they reached out to us out of the blue.
Yes.
Which they did some due diligence in the background. And so it's, you know, so it's easy to be larger than life, but you have to have a certain presence of a certain amount of gravitas to back it up.
Definitely. Well, and I think that, you know, the passion that you have when people get to talk to you, and also how does that carry over into the materials that you guys have put out in your content on your site? You know, how does that carry through to the visuals? How do all those pieces kind of marry together? And I think that, you know, you've done a really good job of carrying that through and of us being able to support that with the build out of the brand and website. And I'm curious if there's anything that stood out for you while working with us over the last several years, just kind of about our team or the way we work together. Is there anything?
Well, I mean, there's the obvious ones. You guys have a fantastic sense of humor. You take something that's intimidating for the non-expert and make it extremely approachable. And that's always incredibly helpful because I mean, at the end of the day, I'm doing 11 different jobs and I don't have time to take on a 12th one. And to have somebody who can break it down into digestible chunks and say, all right, I'm going to do this, you need to do this, etc., it takes a massive load off my chest. And it's like, and if I had a full-time marketing team of a dozen, it probably wouldn't have been, you know, I probably wouldn't have noticed that part of it, but I don't. And so therefore I really did.
Would you recommend this to other thought leaders out there?
Sorry.
No.
Yes, unreservedly. I mean, as evidenced by the fact that I've referred you how many clients now?
I know. But for recording's sake and for the people watching.
So I mean, so my philosophy on referrals is you think long and hard about referrals because if you make a bad referral, it blows up on you. 100%. And like, it's something you have to take very seriously. If you set somebody up on a blind date, you got to take it seriously. If you refer somebody for professional services or a doctor or whatever, you think about those referrals and you take them very seriously. And so, so I've referred you to some people who are very important to me.
Yes.
And as evidence of how well we valued your services and how good of a job we thought you guys did for us.
Well, Jason, thank you so much. We have had so much fun working with you over the years and continuing to watch your brand grow and reshape and be used in different ways. You took the brand colors and painted your office that way. And you have, you know, signs with the logo on it and all the things, you know, and so it's, and also just that story is tied together from stage to presentation to web brand, all those pieces that they fit together and tell that whole story of CiiTA. So thank you so much for letting us be part of it and continuing to work.
It's fantastic. Yeah.
Oh, well, Jason, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us today and really just share about your journey. And we love working with you.
Likewise, very much. So it's exciting and can't wait to see what the next iteration takes.